Don't do that. I'm trying to film. I got stuff to say today. How do I even say this? I don't even know how to say this. Tell me how to say this correctly. I don't even have the language for it. Are you ready to be as creeped out about prophetic visions as I am? Because I have a doozy that just popped up. I did a painting of, I did a video of, and the image came to pass. I actually got to see the image. I'm a little creeped out. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Yeah. Oh, it's not good. This is not good. This is not a good string to be on. So you ready to be creeped out? Because. So I did a painting last year in 2021. This was before I was showing my face on YouTube. I call them the sky people. I painted what kind of look like birdhouses for people in the sky. There was no land. It was just clouds and sunset and houses, almost like birdhouses. And I was meditating while I was doing this, and I voiced over it, which at the time, that's what I was doing a lot. If you're really curious and want to watch an old video and actually listen to the things I was saying at the time, I'll link the video. You can go watch it and be as creeped out as I am. Or maybe you won't be as creeped out as I am. I don't know.
Yes, this is a world of cloud, a world of very airy people, of living in the sky.
So this video in particular was about the bird people. That's what I called them. I called them the bird people. They're people that lived in the clouds. They did not go to the earth at all. They were people that did not bother with the earth at all. I described the type of art they would have as things that were not physical, but things that were visual.
Because it wouldn't be a very substantial sort of physical kind of thing if they live in the sky. So maybe it was more based on colors, of changing the colors of the cloud in the sky around them.
It didn't make sense to me at the time, the not real nature of the art of the bird people. Currently, right now, thinking back at it, I described it as pictures in the clouds, colors in the clouds, chemicals in the clouds. And if that's not a medieval person's description of what an NFT is, I don't know what is. A piece of art that doesn't really exist. It's not tangible. It's not real. If you don't have the language for the internet, if you don't have the language for the cloud, cloud computing, and if you don't have the language or the understanding of what that is, how would you describe what that is? Pictures in the sky. People that have no connection to Earth. That's what I described the bird people. And, this is the best translation I could do at the time. And just this month, came upon the article about these houses that are out in the sea. These very small square foot houses that float in the sea like little ships almost. They don't touch the earth. And the image that the architects made for this project was specifically these little floating houses that look like a birdhouse on top of sticks with the sunset in the background. using even the same colors that I used in the painting. Like, I'll put it side by side, and the image presented in my news feed, I wasn't looking for it, but universe wanted me to see it. And this one has finally come to pass. I don't feel great about it. Most of the visions I've had in the last few years have been pretty awful. I'll be honest. I'll be very honest. There's a lot to be worried about, and there's a lot to do. Man, do I creep myself out? I do. I'm very uncomfortable in this moment. If you can tell, you can probably tell from my facial expressions. Oh, yikes. But the reason why that aspect of not touching the earth is important is because in this article, in this architect project that is currently starting to be built, I believe the article said, they are fully integrated houses with technology. I believe it's described as you wear a ring, and that ring is what gives you access to the house. You get food and supply and whatever you need delivered by drone. It is fully integrated with the internet and the whole, realm of devices, I'm sure. That's not something we should be doing. I'll put it like that, okay? That is an awful, awful idea. And this is not a marker from universe that I wanted to see play out. This is not something I wanted to see at all. This is not a good thing, guys. This is not a good thing. They look like jail cells. That's what they are. I told you I didn't feel good about these visions. They've been real rough the last few years. I am very grateful to be tapped into the universe, seeing things that the universe thinks I need to see. I'm very grateful for it. I am. Don't get that twisted. There is much blessing and curse in knowledge. There is. It is both. It always will be both. Don't eat the bugs. Don't connect to the technology. Don't do the chips. Don't do any of it. Say no. The thing is, I try to describe what the shape of the universe is like, but it's very difficult because it is complex beyond my comprehension. So if it's complex beyond my comprehension, how in the world can I describe it to somebody? That's just kind of it's a crazy thing to ask. It's a crazy thing to try to do. But I try to do it anyway because I feel that it's important. I feel that it's important for people to start thinking about this kind of stuff and start trying to question the shape of everything. Just the shape of everything is important. You gotta have the right framing. If you have the right framing to things, then it's a lot easier to see the bullshit just everywhere, everywhere, and how much of what we think of as reality right now is just illusion. So much of life right now is illusion. It just is. And if you can start to have a better grasp on what the actual shape of the universe is like, it gets easier to accept. It gets easier to accept that you've been lied to your entire life. It just does. Because you start understanding the broader picture of things and why things have come to pass, and how that this is a very important step in our species to move towards the next part of what the universe has asked of us. So I'm going to try very hard to describe to you the general shape of universe as I currently understand it. This, of course, may be a very imperfect way to see things, but it is how I currently best understand things, and how I've spent decades now trying to meet the gap between what reality is presented versus the things that don't make sense, and why those two things don't match. there's a lot about life, a lot about reality that doesn't make sense with the current narrative of what reality is, because it's an illusion. When I think about it in my head, and the way I've described it before, is I see it as a very vast woven rug of many different strings of all sorts of shapes and sizes and colors and textures and movements and patterns. All sorts, so many, with so much complexity. Like if you've ever seen one of the very traditional, immaculate, incredibly detailed and just insanely beautiful Turkish rugs that have been handed down for generation after generation after generation, where it takes a master to create such beauty and such a thing of value. I kind of see the universe in the same way, and its complexity, but in a way that's so complex that I can't comprehend. And I view each string as like a job within universe that each soul may take upon themselves. So we as humans, our species, we go through this multiple times. We have many chances at this. We get to do this many, many times. And we get to take on many roles through this rug, many strings through this we get to play. And there are many options laid in front of us that we may choose to do. So each person will have a variety of choices, of lives, of outcomes that they can choose or have an option for. And this is presented to each soul each time they are here to do this. So it's, in a way, kind of like a job market, that if there is a role that you feel you need to fulfill, you might be able to actually fulfill that role for universe. You might actually be able to do it. You may not. It just, chance and luck does have a part to play in universe, and it is linked to karma in a way. So, oh man, it's so complex. It's so hard to describe, especially for a lady that spent the last decade trying to regain her communication. See, if we can go on a short side trail onto this, to why it's so hard for me to talk. So this is where I'm going to have a hard time knowing if I can put this on YouTube. Maybe I can't put it onto YouTube. YouTube is very iffy about a lot of speech. So I don't think I'll say the actual words to the things. But when I was in my late teens, so I was in college, I was an early college age, 18, 19, 20 was about the age range. There was a set of shots that was new at the time. It starts with a G, and it required 3, and it was 1 every 6 months. And going back and trying to figure out what went wrong, really think that was the thing that made everything go haywire with me. Within a very short period of time, I went from having a brain that I could memorize and recite entire chapters, entire long poems. I could memorize. It was just, I would memorize things without meaning to. I would instantly just know whatever page I left a book at without needing to put a marker in it. I would just know because it just stayed with me. I had a very different sort of intellect than I do now. I also had a very different sort of quality of communication than I do now. So after those shots, what happened was I essentially became locked in my own brain. I only had a few thousand words left that I could use, and I've literally had to reteach myself how to talk. That's how awful this has been the last decade. This is what I've been struggling with for that long. There were other physical things that went wrong as well. I had breast lumps. I had 2 lumpectomies before I hit 21. That's not a normal thing, you know. And other sort of issues that came up unusually for a woman of my age at that time, but came up post all of these issues coming up. And so I have spent an extremely long time essentially locked in my own brain, unable to communicate hardly anything to anybody. I have been stuck with myself, unable to get out. And could it have been a stroke? Could have been a stroke. Don't really know. I know now that, even now, this many years later, my face does not even move the same on both sides. It just hasn't for an extremely long time. Is that related? I don't know. I don't really know how much is really documented about those shots that start with a G that were given to females. I don't know. I just really don't know. But that is the context I'm in. That it is only very recently that I've had even enough communication skills to be able to speak about this stuff at all. That, 3 years ago, I couldn't have done this. I couldn't be doing this now. I could not be communicating with you like I am right now, looking at you, to your face, us, one-on-one. I couldn't even be doing this right now. This is something else that has been a process, very much a process of getting to this point. And I don't know how far I can continue to take my brain. I don't know how far I can keep building to get closer to where I was before. I don't know where the end point is. I just don't. Frankly, at this point, it's been so long that I don't ever expect to get back to where I was when I was a teenager. I just don't think that's going to happen for me. And, that's okay. At least I can talk now. At least I can actually get ideas across. There was such sadness in just having to give up on trying to communicate constantly, daily, all the time, just because I did not have words left and people did not understand what I was trying to say. It happened constantly, all the time. still happens now, and I just will give up because it's not worth the effort. And when you have to make those sorts of decisions, it's not a good time. But since we're in this new age of me actually being able to talk, I can actually talk about this stuff. I can talk about all of these things that I have been stuck in my own brain with that I can't get out. And part of that has been these visions, seeing things that have not come to pass yet, seeing things that I don't understand yet, and I try to decipher because I don't understand, and I don't have a way to communicate them. And part of the reason why I'm doing these meditative paintings is to at least document it. Because chances are, with the memory loss and all the other brain issues I'm going on with, I'm going to forget it. I'm going to forget the things that are happening as they happen. I lose so much of the stuff that is presented to me just by virtue of my own injuries. This channel is almost like a visual diary to be able to go back and actually see what was happening at the time and actually document a lot of it. Because a lot of it's really freaky and it needs to be talked about. It needs to be documented. Because otherwise, nobody's going to believe me. That's just it. That's really just it. Because the shape of our reality is such a lie. It's so false. The things that I know, the things that are presented to me, don't make sense with what the current shape of reality is. So, right now, and probably for a couple of years, I'm still gonna be the nutty sister. But 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I might not be anymore. I might actually be the one who saw before everybody else. And I just want to put all of this down. I just do.